Excel 2016 Module 7, pages 438 through 440. Please remember when we're working with macros, you cannot simply hit save. When you want to save a workbook that has macros in it, you have to come down here and change your save as type to Excel macro enabled workbook. Okay? So a little tip, don't forget that. All right, on page 438, all right, that first macro we did was really easy. This one's not going to be quite as simple. Not hard, but not as simple. The first thing you need to do is you need to read on 438 so you'll understand exactly what we're going to do. If you don't understand what we're going to do, you're just clicking buttons. So read about creating the transfer data macro and you'll see that there's 13 steps we're going to do. We're going to go to the registration data worksheet. We're going to turn off the worksheet protection in the registration data worksheet. We're going to switch to the receipt worksheet. We're going to select and copy the transfer area to the clipboard. We're going to go to the registration data worksheet. We're going to go to cell A1 and then we're going to go to the last row, which is a funky trick. So watch step number 6, please, when we do it. We're going to turn on use relative references. Okay? That button controls how Excel records the act of selecting a range. Okay? By default, the macro will select the same cells regardless of which cell is first selected because the macro records the selection using absolute cell references. If you want a macro to select cells regardless of the position of the active cell when you run the macro, set the macro recorder to record relative cell references. We're going to move down one row. Then we're going to turn off use of relative references. Then we're going to paste the values to the registration data worksheet. We're going to go back to cell A1, we're going to turn on worksheet protection, and we're going to switch to the receipt worksheet and make cell B3 the active cell. Are you ready? So if you look down here, it says you may want to practice before you actually record, which is always a good idea, okay? All right, ready? Page 439, number 1. On our developer tab in our code group, okay, we're going to hit record macro. Okay. All right. The name of this macro is going to be transfer data. Oops, I didn't put a capital in that. It's not really important, but I want to make it look just like the book. Transfer data. Okay. Our shortcut is going to be a lowercase t. Right? Store it in this workbook. And our description is going to be created 12/1/2017. Copy values in the transfer area in the receipt worksheet to the registration data worksheet. Okay, let's do that. Okay. Copy values in the transfer area in the receipt worksheet. To the registration data worksheet. That's a pretty condensed idea of what we're doing, but that's fine. All right, let's just check the spelling really quick. And when you have it, are you ready? Okay. Remember, once you start this, you can't stop. You can't go get a snack. You can't talk to your kids. You can't pet the dog. You have to do this. So hit OK. All right, here we go. Go to the registration data worksheet. Click the Review tab. And then click Unprotect Sheet. Right here, see it? We unprotected it. Go to the receipt worksheet. Select the range A40 to F40. Okay. Click the Home tab on the ribbon. And then go to your clipboard group and click Copy. Okay. Click the Registration Data Sheet tab. Click cell A1. Okay. Now, this is the one I told you is funky. Hold down your control key and press the down arrow key. Control, down arrow. Okay? It's going to go to the last row with values. Click the Developer tab on the ribbon. In the code group, click the Use Relative References button. Okay? Here's our code group. See it right there? Use Relative References. Go ahead and click that. Relative references ensure that the receipt data being transferred is inserted in the next blank row, in this case row 3, and not always in row 3 in the registration data worksheet. Okay? Press the down arrow key one time to move to the first blank cell in the worksheet. Okay? On the Developer tab in the Code group, click the Use Relative References button to turn it off. See how it's gray right now? That shows you it's on. Click it. And see how it's not gray anymore? That means it's turned off. On the ribbon, click the Home tab. In the Clipboard group, we're going to click the Paste button arrow, make sure it's the arrow, and then click the values. Okay? So we're going to come down here to this little arrow, make sure you don't hit paste, hit that down pointing arrow, and we're going to go down to the Paste Values right there. Do you see it? You touch it and it just says Values. Go ahead and click that. This option pastes the values rather than the formulas from the transfer area. Okay? Click cell A1. Then click the Review tab on the ribbon. In the Changes group, click Protect Sheet. In the Protect Sheet dialog box, click OK. Click the Receipt Sheet tab. Click on cell B3. Okay, are you ready? You did it. Stop recording. Good job. All right, so now you're no longer recording, and again, I always test that by going right here and seeing that says record instead of stop recording, which means I got it. All right, let's turn the page because now it's time to test it. In the range B3 to B12, enter the following data. All right, so we're going to go in here and we're going to change this data. We're going to change this to 12.5. We're going to change the name to Will Lang. Our activity, hit that down pointing arrow, is First Friday. Our grade is G5, that stays the same. Our shirt size is large. Rockport resident, no. Guardian, Sandy Lang. And now we have to put in the address. Four 7611, and then the phone number. All right, so you just change this information so that we're going to be able to see it move over when we run the macro, right? Press the Control T. Okay, Control T. And you should have seen a bunch of flashing go on, which is fine. Go to your registration data worksheet and verify that it came over. And there it is. Look, Sandy Lang, Will Lang, First Friday, all of that. And now we have 3 records. All right, go back to your receipt worksheet. Please remember how to properly save this. Okay, remember how to properly save this because it has to be a macro-enabled worksheet, remember? So if you go to save it, that Save As type right here has to say macro enabled, okay? All right, you are ready to move on to your next video.